Yeah, Mad Panic Gaming!
Awesome!
What's up, everybody? Jim here, once again in the neighborhood of Akihabara, and I hope you're ready for some epic 8-bit action, because today we're taking a look at 100% Famicom games, shoot-em-ups, platformers, beat-em-ups, all the ones you love, all the classics. They've got them all with beautiful, beautiful works of art on each and every box. So prepare your minds, your bodies, and your souls, because that is what's coming up next. All right. Are you ready for some Famicom? And also some football. We're getting started in Super Potato. They always have a great Famicom collection. And we're looking at boxed games, people. Love the artwork. Starting with Ganbare Goemon 2, which I'm very well acquainted with the Super Famicom games. Not the Famicom games so much. But it's a great series, though. You should go check out Jimmy Hoppa. His channel. He has a lot of Goemon stuff on there. That's Goemon Gaiden 2. Excuse me. Yeah, the 8-bit games I don't really know much about, but the 16-bit games, that's in my wheelhouse. 3608 for some Z Gundam Hot Scramble. If you never played it before, it's okay. It's a little kind of like on-rail shooter game mixed with not a platformer so much, but more of like a side-scrolling shooter platformer hybrid. You got your Gundam, you can turn into the mech, you can turn into the jet thing. That's pretty cool. I'm not super familiar with Z Gundam or Zed Gundam, however you want to pronounce it. The game itself is like okay, and there is a gold cartridge version that's worth like $1,000. We got the original Mario Brothers 5698, and I do love this game. Basically anything Mario, but all the classic stuff is super fun. Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, Wrecking Crew, etc. It's all good. We got some Mario USA 3498. There's Dr. Mario, always a classic. Wario no Mori for 1518, so it's like $10 even boxed. AKA Wario's Woods, which I believe was the last official game for the NES, and maybe the last official Famicom game. I'm not 100% sure, but a fun little puzzle game, that is for sure. I think the Famicom version came out in '94, and maybe the North American version came out in like '94, '95. I have no idea. We got some Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Fantasy Zone, Mother, Fire Emblem, and then another one of my all-time faves, Wrecking Crew. 6578. I really like this game. I like the simplicity of it. Fun little kind of like puzzly type game. The Famicom version is great, and you got your own little level editor thing as well, which is pretty cool. I guess back in the day the appeal was you could like make your own little levels and then challenge, I don't know, whoever it was, your friend, a sibling, someone to play through your levels. You're not just playing the game, you're in the game. Alright? And that's revolutionary. A revolution of a kind, of a type and sort. All these Namco games, lots of them, and they all had their own little clamshell cases. So they're very easily recognizable. These, the older Namco games, Sky Kid, and I think maybe like Xevious, other various games, had the regular cardboard box. And Akira for the Famicom. More of a, kind of like a visual novel type thing. Akira, that's a property they never really did justice with video games. There was like this, and then there's like a video pinball Akira game. Is that what, Akira fans really want from their Akira game? I think I always wanted a, kind of like Road Rash, but with characters from Akira. I thought that would have been really cool, but instead we got pinball and we got a visual novel, which I get it, huge anime at the time, and they wanted something that visually represented the anime pretty well, I guess, with a video game. But they forgot to make it fun to play. East 2 for 66 something. So that's like a $50 game. For those that don't know, a few of the East games appeared on the Famicom. We have Ikari Warriors 4928. So that's like $35 for a complete copy. And down in the comments, if you're a buyer in Europe or in North America, let me know what boxed games are going for in your region. I'd like to know. 4708 for Golgo 13. The Icarus something or other. I think they call this the Mafat something in North America. But the Golgo 13 games, again, they did their best, like, kind of emulate the anime style. This one is more or less kind of an action platformer with some sniping thrown in. And some driving segments, as you can see here. So that's pretty cool. I mean, they want to, you know, give you the feeling of being Golgo 13 as best they can. This international man of mystery, so to speak. He sleeps with chicks and he shoots people in the head. But he snipes with like an M16, which I always thought was weird. Because M16 is not really a sniper rifle. I've fired an M16 before and I wouldn't exactly go sniping with it. Tiny Toon Adventures. They never sniped anyone in Tiny Toons, as far as I know. Which is probably for the best. But these games are pretty cool. All these Konami Tiny Toons games. They're fun platformers. And I like them a lot. Good graphics, good sound design, bunch of playable characters from the show. I was a Tiny Toons kid back in the day. A Fox kid, if you will. I was a Toonster. But yeah, I like the Tiny Toons games. I've never played a bad Tiny Toons game. And it's 5,038 yen for a complete copy. So that's like $38 or something. Not too bad. 65.38 for YY2. 54.78 for Parodius Da. Good game. Very good game, in fact. 42.68 for Magical Taruruto-kun. Fantastic World. These are pretty cool. I think there's two of them. They're pretty cool little platformers based on Magical Taruruto-kun, which I think was fairly popular in Japan back in the day. I don't recall ever seeing an English version of it, though. So that was something we missed out on, although I think he made like a little guest appearance as like a little computer icon in Golden Boy. 59.18 on Star Wars. Not a good game, unfortunately. Sweet Home, that's getting pretty expensive. We got Rockman 5, Rockman 4, and Tenchio Kurao 2, but like, it's definitely not Warriors of Fate. It's like an RPG version. 65.78 for Makaimura, aka Ghosts and Goblins. A great game, I guess. It's fun. It's super hard. I've never beaten it myself. I've played it countless times, and I enjoy it while I'm playing it, but I always just get frustrated and quit. It's one of those games, like when I tried it when I was a kid, I could get to like stage 2. As an adult, I can maybe get through like the first, kind of like the first wave, the first playthrough. And then the second one comes along and I'm like, you know what, I'm good. We've got a bunch more games here, including Ninja Ryu Kenden 3. Another one that's not getting any cheaper, but it's awesome. If you've ever played Ninja Gaiden 3 and you were frustrated by it because you thought it was too difficult, because of the limited continues and whatnot, give Ninja Ryu Kenden 3 a try. It's more forgiving because I think you take less damage than you do in the NES version, and you have infinite continues, so it's actually beatable. I think the only one of those games I haven't actually beaten is Ninja Ryu Kenden 2. I have like the least amount of experience with that, but I beat the first and third games, so it's possible. We've got Bikuri Neketsu Koshinkyoku, something to that effect. Crash and the Boys Street Challenge in North America. Just an all-around fun game. A wacky sports game. You've got all kinds of different events. The hammer throw golf event is very fun. And like foot race and swimming races. And of course, since, you know, it's Kunio-kun, as you're swimming or racing or what have you, you can beat the hell out of each other and attempt to drown each other. So that's fun. All of the Kunio-kun games are always fun. They got a lot of them here. They've got your River City Ransoms, your Renegades, your Nintendo Soccers, all that good stuff. And then we got a whole mess of loose cards that we're not going to look at today. And it's Korone-chan. What are you doing here? Get back to your HoloLive thing. I'm not big on the, what are they called? The VTubers? That's not really my thing. But it's pretty big here in Japan. They even have their own branded snacks and things like that. We got Dragon Ball. We've got Bomberman 2. This is kind of an odd thing. I'm in Surugaya right here, and some of these, I guess they just didn't have all that much shelf space left, so they just started putting 2 at a time in these little plastic things, except for Famicom Jump 2. Has its own big box. Pretty fun little RPG, but it's especially awesome if you're a fan of old school Jump comic stuff like Dragon Ball, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, etc. You can play as all those various characters in the kind of like Jump world. So it brings all those characters and properties and all that different lore all together. You got Magical Taruru Tokun in there, JoJo, some other characters. So those are pretty cool. There's a couple of them, and interesting games at least. We got some NES games here, including Silent Service and Mickey Mousecapade for $3,100. So it's like $20 for Mickey Mousecapade. I don't know what that stacks up to in the US. I have no frame of reference at all for NES games and what they're being sold for in the States. We got some Dragon Ball Z 3 here. This is the one, it's the Android Saga. It ends with Frieza, and then it goes to the Android Saga. And I think it goes up to Cell, because I know there's another one. Pretty sure there was another one after this. Oh well, I can't recall. But these are okay. They're little RPGs. They use like a card battle system. There's like a bunch of them. I think that was just the best way to make a Dragon Ball game in 8-bit, was to just have like a turn-based RPG, because you weren't gonna get a good fighting game out of that. I don't think so. DBZ is just too complex for that. We got Twinbee 3, and then we got something else that I don't know what the hell it is, and I can't even see all the kanji. And even if I could, my kanji is kind of crap. You know, that's the kind of thing, if you don't really stick to it and study, you're gonna lose it. More Dragon Ball goodness. This one is Dragon Ball 3 Gokuden for 800 yen box, so it's like $5. I believe these games were being released as like the episodes were airing, so like if you were watching the show and enjoying the episodes, you could be playing right along with the story by playing the games, which is pretty cool, because I know the manga and the anime kind of came out alongside each other, and I guess the games did too. And we've got some track and field here for 800 yen. Which is not for me, because, getting a little older, don't mind telling you. Don't exactly have all of the stamina I used to. I don't exactly get that much exercise. I'm more of a weight training guy these days. Maybe I'll get back to the aerobics when I get a little older. Dragon Ball Z Gaiden and some Magical Taruru Tokun. Another copy of Fantastic World. So we can compare and contrast prices on that. A fighting stick, I guess, for a Super Famicom. The disc system, which is a fun little add-on to play around with. So, it's fun to collect for. We got some Hokuto no Ken 3, which it took a long time for these games to get good. Like, for, I don't know, like the first game all the way up through the 7th game, they were all just terrible. There's so many just like, I mean, these are turn-based RPGs, but they're not particularly good ones. And the graphics, sound design aren't very good either. The best thing about these games is the box art, to be completely honest. And when they got to 16-bit games, they didn't get any better. They still sucked. 3300 Downtown Special, which is awesome. It's Kunio and his pals. They're doing a River City Ransom thing. But it's like feudal Japan. So there you go. It's like you mix your Kunio and your Ghost of Tsushima, and you've got Downtown Special. And there's some Goonies in there, too, for 2800. Who doesn't like some Goonies? Actually saw a whole bunch of archival pictures of Goonies recently. It looked like they had a lot of fun on that set. It's the kind of thing you'd like to be present for. We've got some Famicom disc stuff here. This is not really what we're looking at, but we can take a quick peek. Mr. Gold, whatever that is. I think that's actually another kind of like visual novel type game. And the original Mario Brothers 2. Which I don't find all that enjoyable. It's just too damn hard, and the rent is too damn high. Final Fantasy 1 and 2 collection, which is pretty cool. It's like a really big white cartridge, both games on it. I think the size of the cartridge is just to like be impressive, though. I'm pretty sure the chip inside is the same size, although I don't really know, but I think so. What else we got here? What are you showing us, Jim? I don't know. I guess we're done with that. Get the hell out of here, Surugaya. We're in Game Camp. Taking a look at some of their box Famicom games. The first Famicom Jump. I guess to celebrate the 20th anniversary. So yeah, 20th anniversary of Jump Comics. They made this game where in the first one you're actually a kid who gets sucked into the Jump Comics world. And then you interact with all the various characters from Fist of the North Star, Dragon Ball, other various things. So if you were like a Jump fan back in the day, if you were a kid, that would have just been like the ultimate game. Image Fight on the Famicom by Irem. Not a bad version of the game, I'll say. Kind of slow and not terribly like a lot of enemies on screen at any one time. It's pretty limited, you know. It's Famicom, and it doesn't hold a candle to say the PC Engine version, obviously. But I would say for the price you pay on it, yeah, it's not too bad. Here we've got a complete copy. It's 2,000 some odd yen, so it's under 20 bucks, so that's okay. Ultima, Famicom Ultima. I didn't know before I started like collecting and game hunting that there were Famicom versions of the Ultima games. I believe this one being Ultima 4, Quest of the Avatar. Thank you, Lord British, for that cameo. We got Lord British, everybody. So that's pretty cool. Like Ultima and Wizardry, those were like really important series for, you know, kind of getting RPGs off the ground in Japan, creating some buzz for them. Another copy of Goonies, pretty cool, classic Konami, and it's 3,000 yen, so that ain't too terribly much. And we got ourselves some good old-fashioned Gradius, still 31.80. Puts it right around 20 bucks, and that ain't bad. And I'm a broken record because I've said a million times, I really like Gradius. I like the Famicom NES version. I like the PC Engine version better. Obviously, it's a great rub. But if it says Gradius, I'm pretty much guaranteed to love it. It's maybe my favorite series of shooters ever. They're just fun, unique, great graphics and sound. Juvie Quest? Movie Quest? I don't know, whatever the hell. Something by Namco. Jubei, is it Jubei Quest? He kind of looks like Jubei, right? With his eye patch and everything. I don't know. Not familiar with that one. But there it is nonetheless. Another copy of Dragon Ball. Not a great game, but, you know, hey. There it is. If you were a Dragon Ball fan back in the day, which I was, you probably would have played it regardless. Dragon Quest 3. And these things are super common, but they're still kind of going up in price a bit. It always amazes me how back in the day a new Dragon Quest game would come out, and it was almost like a natural disaster or something. You have to shut everything down. Everybody's like, no work, no school. I think they like coordinated it to like release it on like a holiday weekend or something, just so they wouldn't like destroy the economy of Japan. Those games were just like so huge. It's hard to imagine. People were lining up like you would imagine, like when people lined up for the release of like the PS2 back in the day. That's how every Dragon Quest game was. Some Neketsu Kakuto Densetsu, which I think was like planned to be released on the NES back in the day, but they canceled it along with I think a couple of other of the Kunio games because there were a lot of them. But it's a fun little 2-on-2 fighting game. You know, it's Kunio, so it's kind of wacky, and there are obstacles and weapons and stuff. Rockman 5, Blues no Wana? The Secret of Blues, or Blues' Trap, or whatever it's called. I really like Rockman 5, Mega Man 5. It's my favorite in the series. Just something about the combination, the gameplay, the graphics and sound, it just does it for me. It clicks. I like them all, obviously. But 5 tends to be my favorites, even though I think 2 and 3, and, you know, rightfully so, are regarded as, like, you know, the best, the greatest. That's usually the debate. Speaking of, we got Rockman 3 here for, like, what is that, $37.80? That's not so bad. That should be just under $30 for a complete copy. Rockman 3, amazing. Rockman 2, I mean, they're all, any 8-bit Rockman game is going to be great. But yeah, usually, like, the ones I played as a kid were 2 and 3 with my older brother, and loved them, even though I was only like 6 years old, so I would just get a red-ass beat down anytime I tried to play them. but I was always happy to just be playing any video games, really. But as an adult, after I've played them all, 5 was the one I settled on. That's my fave. What else do we have going on here? As you can see, they got quite a few of these box games. You've been seeing some of them have new batteries in them. They replaced the batteries, which is very nice, especially for these RPGs. You want to be able to save your game. You're going to need a battery in there. But there's Fire Emblem. There's some Final Fantasy 4180. And those boxes are just beautiful, aren't they? That's just like pure white. So Final Fantasy 2 and 3. Those will all look really nice on a shelf together, as you can see here. But yeah, that's like an epic amount of games we just took a look at. There's so much Famicom stuff and so little time. So thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Japan, 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 Japan. Round 1. Fight, fight, fight you. Yeah, fight.
Hey everybody, Jim here. Welcome back for another game hunt here in Japan on this glorious, wonderful, overcast, gray day. Today I was in the neighborhood of Yanokuchi, which is in southwest Tokyo, kind of very close to being in Kanagawa, but not quite. It's like right on the border. Came here today because I discovered that there is a hard-off in town, a rather large hard-off, in fact, that I had never been to before, so I wanted to go on one of my game hunting runs. I went to a book off first and found some good stuff, and then I got back on the train in the hopes that I would find even more great games in Yanokuchi. So I was ready to either have my heart broken or to be elated with all the great retro gaming goodness I discovered. So stick around and go on this game hunt with me, because that is what's coming up next. Alright, getting started with consoles and things. I think I actually want to put the exchange rate up there. Thank you. 7,700 on a Wii Neo Geo stick. I didn't know there was a Wii Neo Geo stick. 77 on a Saturn there, and 88 on this Dreamcast, which is nice and whitey white. It was in there pretty good though. Rather than tempt fate, I let it go. And then some Saturns with a hell of a tan on them. Gotta come down on price on those. 7,700 though on some of these mini consoles. That ain't so bad. It's like 50 bucks. 16.5 for a 3DO FZ10, the top loader. Don't see too many of those while on my travels. We've got a bunch of 64s. And 14.3 on a Victor Saturn, which is also really cool. That's something else I don't see too often. Nice Victor Saturn. Usually I just see the gray or the whites. The Hitachi and the Victor, less common. 16.5 on a boxed Dreamcast, and we got some Mega Drives here. This is where it gets tricky, pulling this stuff from the top shelf. 16.5 boxed Mega Drive 1, and surprisingly enough, this Mega Drive 2 was also 16.5, and that is surprising. Usually the Model 2, that's a little more expensive than the Model 1, but they're both priced evenly. These Super Famicom decks, pretty cheap. 2,200 on this Turbo Graphics, PC Engine Duo. It's got an Avenue Pad 3 with it too. That's pretty cool. 2,200, that's about 170 bucks, 160 bucks. Pretty nice. 1,100 and 1,200 on these GameCubes, including the Orange Spice, which I know when it comes to Japanese GameCubes, people like their orange spice. And 13.2 on this Core Graphics with nothing on it. I don't know why they're charging 13.2 when you don't have cables, you don't have a controller, you got nothing. And this is pretty cool as well. Also 13.2 on this Casio. It says MX10. It's an MSX, which is really cool. Don't come across too many of those. The old school PCs. And 1100 on a complete Super Famicom. It's got everything with it. It looks pretty good too. And then this Famicom is nice and white, not too discolored. 8800. That's actually not too bad on that. That's about 60 bucks for a boxed Famicom in pretty good condition. We've got some more box stuff down here. We got some Saturns, as you can see. Some more Super Famicoms in 64s. In terms of consoles, they had quite a lot. They got Wii U's, not something I'm usually in the market for. Some PS2s, mostly the fat boys. I had a fat PS2 back in the day, don't mind telling you. And some different colors, etc., etc. We get into the PS3s and PS4s. That's kind of where I'm out of the game. Too modern for me. And some controllers as well. All the controllers you can handle, baby. Anyway, some consoles to get us started. Pretty cool stuff. Not bad prices either. Follow the Kirbys to fortune and glory. Hey, there's a handsome guy. Yeah, we got some cool stuff in here. Gonna take a look real quick. But first, Mega Drive Mini 11,000, excuse me. But 66,000 on a Mega Drive with Mega CD. That's insane. I can't even fathom it. We're looking at some cool handheld stuff. We got some Neo Geo Pockets, Game Boy Advance SPs. That really blew me away. And then an AES deck, 66,000 yen. And a 17,000 core graphics there. That's actually pretty good on that. But 66,000 yen. Where did they get that number? That's insane. And that handsome guy is back. Hello. 5,500 on Guardian Heroes. That's pretty good. 14,300 on this like really good looking Valis. We got some Parodius. We got some other cool stuff in there. But yeah, that blew me away. I don't know where the number 66,000 came from. That's well, I just don't know what to say about that. 8,800 on a really good condition Mario Bros. We got some YY World. We got some Castlevania. We got all the good stuff. Akumajo Densetsu. Excuse me. How dare I call it Castlevania. Here's something. When I walk into a place and I see this, a bunch of games down at my ankles, I really don't like that. Getting harder and harder to like bend down to those hard to reach places these days. 1,800 on Gambare Goemon 4. 1980 after tax. That's really good price on that. Boxed and complete and in really great condition. So I make a mental note of that. That could be one of my finds of the day later. Some Game Gear. Gunstar Heroes. That's really cool. Some Wonder Swan. And other various handheld things. Very nice. I usually don't come across boxed handheld stuff. It's kind of rare. Got some Kunio-kun. Pinball of the Dead on the GBA. That's pretty cool. We got some Pokemons, which I don't get a whole lot of requests for, but there they are. And we've got some Famicom disc as well. Always nice to see that. Some Zelda action and some Dirty Pair. For those of you that didn't know, yeah, there's a Dirty Pair game on the Famicom disc, and it's okay, I guess. More really nice looking boxed Super Famicom stuff. Just a collage of colors here. The Marios, the Aladdins, the Sailor Moons, and it's all priced pretty good. I think the book off we were just at in the previous video had better prices, but these still aren't terrible. $38.50 on Patlabor, $38.50 on Goemon 2, which is really good, and $4,400 on Yu Yu Hakusho Final. We got plenty more though. This cool. I never come across this game, but it is Rock and Roll Racing, $71.50. I like that a lot. Mother 2. All the good stuff. Got some Tiny Toons. I love Tiny Toons on the Famicom or the NES. Got some Kirby. All the good ones. And the lone Mega Drive game, Galaxy Force 2, baby. A lot of really good condition box stuff here. And some loose carts as well. We got our Contras. We got our Akumajo Densetsu. We got all that stuff. Layla, which I don't think I've ever played Layla, but I hear good things. Kid Dracula, and then 33 on Rockman 2, which again was actually cheaper at the place we were just at. 55 on one of the Super Famicom memory cart things. Holds a bunch of ROMs on it, so that's pretty cool. GS Mikami, 29.7 though. I thought this was cool. I'd never seen one of these before. Chrono Trigger sample ROM. So it's like a demo of Chrono Trigger from back in the day. $8,800 on Captain Commando, Super Back to the Future 2, Kiki Kai Kai 11,000. That one's not getting any cheaper. $6,600 on Umihara Kawase. And Super Alesta 5,500. My favorite Super Famicom shoot 'em up. Lots of good games. Prices kinda, they're not terrible, but they're not getting any better. And I have to keep in mind, I don't really know, like I don't really know how these compare to the prices overseas, to SNES games and what have you in the US. 2,000 on a complete Final Fight 2, which is also pretty good on that. 2,000 on anything boxed and complete is okay. And then this Super Street Fighter 2, the new challengers with a nice looking box and everything in there, unless otherwise noted. It's got the inserts, got the manual, all that goodness, and one of my favorite Japan exclusive Super Famicom games for 1,500, Tetris Battle Gaiden. Really great game, really fun competitive puzzle game. I actually included it in my top 10 Japan exclusive Super Famicom videos from many years ago. Really like that game. Anytime I come across it, if it's a good price, I'll go for it, because not only do I love it, I'm pretty sure many other people will love it too, but we're looking at just like a lot of Super Famicom games. And again, my knees, people. Consider my knees. And then we have all these loose Super Famicom games. I'm just going to kind of gloss over these. We'll see what I picked up later when I do my finds of the day. But they've got lots of copies of the Goemons, Super Donkey Kong. We got Final Fight 2 over there. All kinds of good stuff. Boxed Famicom games. We got some Kunio. I always forget the Japanese subtitle for this one. It's one of the athletic games in that series. Man, this was like insane. 3,600 on this. A copy of Makaimura, Ghosts and Goblins, and it's like in great shape, like almost perfect condition. I don't know how that is. That game's older than I am, and somehow the box is in better shape than I am. So that's fantastic. But more of these loose carts. Again, this video could be like 3 hours long if it was just me digging through all of these carts. And also, I gotta maneuver around some people. I'm not shopping alone here, folks. We got some Dreamcast stuff here. Most of it really not like shaking my tree. We got Tomb Raider, big deal. Code Veronica, still 300 yen. That's like the cheapest game ever. And we got some Saturn games as well. They had a handful of pretty decent Saturn games. 3,000 here, Street Fighter Collection. So it's got, what does it have? It has like Turbo and Super Turbo and I want to say Alpha 2. Saturn Bomberman, no manual though, so I have to pass on that. I don't take jewel case games without manuals, because then you also don't have a cover. King of Fighters 96 for 1,200 yen, 1,320 after tax. Just the disc itself, without the cartridge that comes along with it. And then sitting right next to it was a complete copy that I just kind of like glossed over. Mostly because I'm trying like not to elbow people in the back. You can see camera angles get a little bit tight as I'm in here. Darius Twin, fantastic game. I think I picked that up today. We got Rushing Beat, Mario. We got some loose N64 games as well. Super Swiv, which is awesome. And then you didn't see it because I'm a terrible cameraman. But they also had a Turtles in Time that you might see popping up later in the video. We've got a handful of PC Engine games here. Kind of disappointing. If I see a bunch of PC Engine spines, I'll get really excited. Cobra 2, that's pretty cool. But a lot of the hard-offs recently these days, the PC Engine section kind of runs together. R-Type 2, alrighty. And Puzzle Boy. I don't know anything about Puzzle Boy. I don't think I've ever played that one. But I did play R-Type, and I like it a lot. Nectaris, which if I'm not mistaken is like a strategy game. Not a lot of demand for those. F1 Circus Bomberman 94. 5,000 yen on that, though. That's... yeah, I pass on that. 4,000 on that one. I don't know what the hell is wrong with it. But yeah, usually like for that kind of price, like, you might as well just go to Akihabara or something. Yeah, so this book off kind of flabbergasted me. Some of their games are priced right. 2,700 on Darius Gaiden. Speaking of priced right, that's a damn fine game. and that's a damn fine price on it. That was something I was definitely coming back for, and a complete Saturn Bomberman with some issues, I guess. And Sonic R, love the soundtrack. The game itself is kind of not good at all, kind of dog shit. Sakura Wars Columns, nice, but it's super sun faded. So I had to pass on that. And what else we got? We got some Rockman. I'm sorry, some Puyo Puyo Sun. Getting ahead of myself. Some Rockman X4. And for whatever reason, probably just because my knees were killing me, I had to stand up and just take a gander at that. 4,000 yen. For an X4 on the Saturn, that's actually still a pretty good price. Usually I see it for about 6,000. And we have a complete copy of Real Bout, which is awesome. I do like anything in the Fatal Fury series. But we got all that, and then I'm not even fighting for those Famicom games. On to the next bit. Okay, for the final stretch of this video, we got some PS2 and PS1, starting 2500, the Gekko no Kenshi collection, and 6600 on a game that's becoming less and less common these days. It is Hokuto no Ken, developed by Arc System Works, published by Sega, and just straight up one of the most kick-ass 2D fighters ever, as it would have to be. If it's a combination of Fist of the North Star, Arc System Works, and Sega, like you can't go wrong. Battle Stadium DON always catches my eye, 800 yen. Pretty cool little game, Smash Brothers style game with some anime characters. Fate Stay Night, I actually hate that game because every time I see it, I think it's Fate Unlimited Codes, and I am disappointed because I grab unlimited codes whenever I can. Because that's one people tend to like, and it's fairly inexpensive. King of Fighters 2003 for 1,000 yen. That's okay. And then for 1,500, 1650 after tax. King of Fighters 11, quite possibly my favorite King of Fighters game. It's really good. We got some more stuff here. Again, a lot of stuff to gloss over. But we got some fighting bundles. We got Third Strike and Capcom vs. SNK 2 in a value pack. So you get 2 great games for the price of 2 great games. It's like, yeah, it's over 3,000 yen when those individual games are really cost effective. The Zero Collection, 1,500 on Third Strike. So there you go. Not too shabby. And then the Hyper Street Fighter 2 Anniversary edition. I was going to say collection. There's no collection. It's just an edition. But I do believe you get to watch the Street Fighter 2 anime on there. So that's pretty cool. Armored Core. But we move over to PS1. We got some Street Fighter Zero. Amazing game. The original Diablo, which is really cool. I don't think I've actually ever come across this game on my hunts. Don't think it was too terribly popular at the time. I don't know. Here we have a Gatchaman. It says The Shooting. This is part of that like simple 1500 series or whatever it was called. None of those games are particularly good. So I passed on that. We got some Kamen Rider. We got some other things here. This is where I start to ramble, because when I'm looking at a bunch of just random PlayStation spines, I don't exactly know what everything is. I do know this, though. I'm very predictable, aren't I? Capcom, I always go back to it. Capcom Generation 5 with just different versions of Street Fighter 2 on it. Kind of an obsolete thing. Well, not kind of. Gun Bullets and Gun Barrel. Okay, I don't think that's how you spell barrel, people. But yeah, Gun Bullet, I believe also Point Blank. We actually ran across it in an arcade recently. It was pretty cool. Some Kid Stations, some Phantom Menace. I've actually never played that game. The amount of Star Wars games I've actually ever played, I can count on both hands. Silent Hill, just the manual though. I don't know why the hell that's there. I think you would want to set that aside. You tricked me. 500 yen for this Tekken 3. Common game, but wow, it looks really good. Nice condition, spine card and all. I do like to see that. I love to see a good jewel case with a nice Obi on it. Obi being the spine card. We got more. We got Dragon Quest. We got a bunch of Dragon Quest. We got a bunch of Final Fantasies. We got more Final Fantasies than you can shake a stick at. That's pretty common in a hard off these days, though. Biohazard 2, 500 yen. And 800 yen for the original Biohazard with a spine card, so that's nice. And I love the cover on it. 800 for Parasite Eve, which I was replaying again recently. That game is still awesome. Last Escape, aka Nemesis. That's also only like 800 yen. It's like $5. A lot of $5 games. Not too shabby. And then way down here on this rack, Hokuto no Ken. Great game on the PlayStation. It's essentially a 3D beat 'em up. And it's pretty cool. This is when Fist of the North Star games actually started to become playable, because all the 8 and 16-bit games sucked. Rockman Dash 2 for 2,000 yen, aka Mega Man Legends 2. I enjoyed that whole series. I even liked the Tron Bond game. I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, that's a whole bunch of PlayStation and PlayStation 2 games. But let's not stand on ceremony. Let's look at my finds of the day, starting with that copy of Darius Gaiden, $29.70 after tax. Good price on that. What else you get, Jim? We got this copy of Turtles in Time for 2,700 yen. A little grody on the back, but it's at least, this is like 1,000 yen less than I usually see it for. We got Ganbare Goemon 4, 1,800 yen. Great game, and it's in great condition too. Very happy with that. We got a copy of Tetris Battle Gaiden, 1,500 yen. I take that every time. All day, every day. Great game. Now we got that copy of King of Fighters 96 for 3,000 yen. And it's complete, so it's got the RAM cartridge. Or is it a ROM cartridge? But it's got everything. And that copy of Makaimura for 3,600 yen. And it's like practically in like perfect shape. Shocking. I was so happy to find this today. And then here is the entire basket. As you can see, I went back through all those loose carts for the Super Famicom and Famicom. Found a whole bunch of games. We got 1942, we got Hokuto no Ken, we got Macross, we got some more Gundam, we got some Game Boy games. We got all kinds of good stuff. And we're checking out. And the price tag on this stuff wasn't too bad, all things considered. So I left this hard off with a nice big bag of games for a variety of consoles. And I did okay today. I didn't exactly clean up. But I didn't spend more than I wanted to, we'll say that. So let me know down in the comments, you see anything in this video you like today? And what do you think is my best find of the day? I'd like to know. And until next time, thanks for watching, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.
Mad Panic Gaming!
Awesome!
What's up, everybody? Jim here. Welcome back for another epic game hunt on Mad Panic Gaming. Today, popped into a book off here in Tokyo and was surprised to find a considerable amount of retro games, especially for the Famicom, Super Famicom, and N64, and the prices were honestly kind of shockingly low for some of these games, all things considered. So I picked up quite a few, so sit back, relax, because that's what's coming up next. Let's go game hunting. All right, take a look at all of these beautiful, wonderful retro games. Nature's Bounty, my cup runneth over. Getting started, had a whole bunch of boxed Super Famicom games, starting with a copy of Kirby Bowl for 1,500 yen, which is very nice. That's just under $10 right now for a complete game. Can't argue with that. 4,500 though on this copy of Ganbare Goemon 4. which is obviously significantly more expensive than 1500. As I hold on that for a potential thumbnail. But for that game in particular, it's actually not a bad price. That's one that's gone up quite a bit. Usually complete, I see it for closer to 7,000 or something. 4,500 also for Ganbare Goemon 2, which is my favorite of the bunch. And again, that ain't bad. That's somewhere in the mid $30 range. Not too bad. Definitely better than what you'll find online. 3,500, excuse me, for this copy of the Great Battle Gaiden, I do believe. Another fun game in the Great Battle series. Here, this was interesting. Got a copy of Chrono Trigger, marked at 2,300, but it is 50% off. So I guess it's marked as having some kind of damage to, I think, the manual. So it's 50% off, so at least, you know, they're upfront about that. Here, another one for 1,500. This is Gado Densetsu 2. Fatal Fury 2. Good game. I mean, once Fatal Fury Special came out, kind of obsolete, but still very good. I'll put it right there next to Yoshi's Island. Don't mind if I do. Again, complete box games for less than $10. You really can't argue with that. Another game, 2,300 at 50% off, was Super Bomberman 3, and we got a copy of Super Bomberman 4, 2,700. And that ain't bad. 2,700. I mean, I'm going to show the prices on screen, but that's pretty damn good. 900 yen for a complete copy of Super Nazo Puyo. That is exceptionally cheap. That's like, what, $5 for a complete? And it's a good game. So that is what we like to call lovely. Definitely taking some of these games home with me today. We got a complete Smash Brothers, 1,800 yen. And that box looks pretty damn good. Don't mind telling you. For 4,500, another 4,500 game. No discounts on this one, unfortunately. Rockman X2. Fantastic game. And then we've got 1,500 again at 50% off because of damage to the box. So 750 yen. That's very inexpensive. And 1,500 for a complete copy of Final Fight 2. And that's very nice. Box is in good condition. Manual, everything, inserts, all good. Another 1,500 one. Didn't quite get to that one, but Panel de Pawn, also 1,500, aka Tetris Attack. So we got Final Fight 2, we got Yoshi's Island, we got Panel de Pawn. We got all these really good games for just under $10. Not bad. 25.28 for one of these 16-bit collections. It's got a couple of the Super Chinese games, and then something or other, the Phoenix. 1,800 on a complete copy of Super Mario World. Very nice. 480 on these Saint Seiya games. 900 on this magical Taruru-Tokun. That ain't too bad, I guess. And 900 on Captain Tsubasa, which is usually cheaper than that. And 480 for this copy of Kinnikuman. And it's actually a pretty damn clean cartridge. I also like how they have these cartridges color-coded. That's very nice. Some Jajamaru-kun. Classic series there. Can't go wrong with those. Some of these pachinko games and stuff. Bowling, 270 yen. Was that like a $1.50? Dr. Mario is also 480. We got these Final Fantasies, 900. Wow. These are some, well, at least a couple of them were some clean looking cards. Some of these Dr. Marios are a little faded. But you can't complain with like a couple of bucks per game. We got these DBZ games. They're all 480. Putting them at around, I don't know, $3, maybe less than $3. Got some Tecmo Wrestling. We've got Downtown Neketsu Special, also 900 yen. Can't go wrong with that. That's a fun game. It's like the feudal Japan version of River City Ransom, and I like it a lot. And 480 on Neketsu Hakibu, which is a fantastic game. One of my just favorite like sports games on the Famicom generally. Really good game. Star Luster. Some Hokuto no Ken 2, which I believe is the the one that was released as Fist of the North Star on the NES. That is also 480 yen. And yes, I will take you. Thank you very much. So a lot of these, they're between like, 300 yen and 900 yen. Let's see, what is this? Wow, 270 for Tetris. That's very nice. And this game, the title, the complete title escapes me right now. Suguru Quest, I think is what it's called. That's 900 yen. That's also by Technos Japan. Has an art style similar to River City Ransom. Pretty fun little dice RPG kind of game. 480 on Dragon Ball. That's really good. We come down here. We got a nice little selection of Super Famicom games, including Rockman X2. 1500 for the loose cart, so that's fine. So loose cart is just under 10 bucks, and I think that's fair. Super Street Fighter 2, 900 yen, making that an exceptionally cheap title right now. And Cho Makaimura, aka Super Ghouls and Ghosts, 1500. So another game that is right at the $10 mark for a loose cart, which I think most people would agree is pretty damn fair. I don't think you're gonna get an SNES Super Ghouls and Ghosts for 10 bucks, even if it is loose. 2164 for another one of these multi-carts. It's got some Jajamaru and other stuff on it, the 8-bit multi-cart. I don't have any of those. I think with emulation, they're especially not necessary. 2900 on a complete copy of Aladdin, and that's very nice. And then Arkanoid here for 1800, which is also pretty good. So a lot of these games, they're between like the $10 and $20 mark. At the lower end of that even. So not bad at all. 4500 for Tiny Toon Adventures, which is an awesome game. I like it a lot. I like the sequel as well, but the first one is the best for sure. It's a really nice platformer, although it's, even better on the Mega Drive. 3200 Rockman X4 and Rockman X6. That ain't bad. And 2300 for Rockman 6, I believe. And Rockman 5. That's nice. And 2700 on Rockman 2, Rockman 3, Rockman 4, the original Rockman, 1800. Okay, that was a lot of Rockman just now. You gotta excuse me, I got an overload there. 1500 on Raiden Project. Are you kidding me? 10 bucks for Raiden Project? Yes, please. That was a hell of a deal right there. Ladies and gentlemen, you just witnessed history. Raiden Project, PS1, 10 bucks. Puyo Puyo 2, awesome, poppin' music. I'm not a fan, but I know a lot of people like it. We've got a handful of GameCube games. We've got some of these emulator things, clone consoles. We got a bunch more games here, including NBA Jam for 480 yen. But the back of it was a little bit grody. But still pretty cheap for NBA Jam, one of the most popular games of all time. Got some Mario Kart, we got some DK Country, we got some Dragon Ball Z, Super Butoden 2, 480 yen. One of the Gokuden games, those are always cheap. 270 yen for a loose Chrono Trigger. That just, if you really want to collect some of these physical RPGs, maybe learn to read Japanese, because they are as common as dirt in Japan, and they're super cheap. We got the original Sailor Moon here, 900 yen. Super clean cart. That is like an incredibly good price on that. That's usually about a 2,000 yen game, if not more, as a loose cart. So that I was very happy with. We got some Front Mission, we got some Yu Yu Hakusho, we got some Final Fantasy. At this point, I'm kind of just like, there's so many games in here to flip through, but it looks like on the surface, a lot of it is pretty common stuff. A lot of common RPGs, and then, things like Donkey Kong and Mario. 270 on Ranma 1/2, one of the Ranma 1/2 games. So I took that. That's so cheap. That's like $1.50. Even though those games aren't great, like, can you really argue with that? We got some more good stuff here. Rockman X2. This one for $19.50. I guess that's a little bit of a cleaner cart. A little more expensive than the other one we saw. And hey, what the hell? Why not? We got some PS2 games. And they're broken up into genre, which I like a lot. Dragon Force. which I used to listen to Dragon Force albums when I would go on my morning runs. Haven't been listening to them to so much lately. I love it when it's broken down by genre. It just makes everything so much easier. So we got some puzzle games here, which is nice. Puyo Puyo Fever, 480 yen. Super cheap. We got some Wii games. If you like your Wii, I don't get a lot of requests for Wii, but 480 yen for Basada 2, 2,300 yen for Sonic Colors, which I did play and is an awesome game. And then Sonic, whatever the hell that is. I don't know. I lost track of all the Sonics. Like, I played a couple of the good ones. I played Colors. I played Generations. I had fun with those. Everything else, I really don't know what the hell's going on. Fighting games. That's what we really want. 3,200 on that KOF. 270 on EX3. 1,100 on Arcana Heart 2. Are you kidding me? That is a amazing deal. 900 there. I mean, yeah, a bunch of copies of Third Strike. So yeah, everything in here was priced fine. It was all very fair, but then some of these games were just a hell of a deal. I don't mind telling you. We got Virtua Fighter, good stuff. Fate, unlimited codes, 900 yen. I didn't even have to dwell on that. That's just going home with me. Okay, 2 copies of Fate Unlimited codes at 900 yen each. 1,800 on Bloody Roar 4. We got, yeah, Art of Fighting Collection. But yeah, that's insane. 900 yen. What was that, like $6? $5 for these Fate Unlimited codes? That's wonderful. So let's look at the bounty we're picking up today. We got Fate Unlimited codes, we got Rama, we got Raiden Project, we got Sailor Moon, we got Hokuto no Ken, we got Panel Depon, we got Final Fight 2, we got Fatal Fury 2, and I did pick up, we got Nazo Puyo, picked up the complete copy of Yoshi's Island. I mean, look, all this stuff is great. I ended up walking out with all this stuff, and I think probably altogether ran about $50. What a deal. Okay, goodbye. See you next time.
That kind of game.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another epic game hunt in the neighborhood of Akihabara. Today, it is 100% Sega Dreamcast action, shoot-em-ups, fighting games, and of course some first-party Sega awesomeness. So I hope you're ready, because that is what's coming up next. All right, time to get started with some Dreamcast awesomeness. Do you all remember when you got your first Dreamcast? I sure do. Christmas 2000. We got some Trigger Heart Excelica. A lot of people love this game, and then I know some people that really do not like it at all. I fall into the camp of people that like it, don't love it, but it is good. Like, not love. It's not in the same vein as something like a Dodon Pachi or whatever, but, you know, it's a decent shoot-'em-up you can have fun with, and now it's on the Switch, which I have the Switch version now, and I'm happy with that. Check this out. It's one of the ASCII pads. These are pretty cool. Basically, like playing your Dreamcast with a Saturn controller, which just makes all those fighting games just that much easier to play. Either that or the joystick. The joystick is pretty rad too. Spawn in the Demon's Hand, I believe. Very fun game by Capcom. Just a big open like arena combat game. Between this and like Heavy Metal, like they were doing some interesting things in the late 90s, early 2000s. Were Capcom. They were trying out some stuff. So Spawn, really cool, you know, one of my favorite comic book characters. 6,700 on Ill Bleed. If you've never played Ill Bleed, pretty fun, kind of wacky, a bit goofy survival horror game. You got a few characters. You're in like an amusement park of some sort, but it's like a horror land amusement park. and it's good. It's bloody good fun. It'll bleed, even though it has that kind of like late 90s, early 2000s cheesiness that comes with some of those games. Vampire Chronicle, great way to play Vampire Savior, because it's essentially Vampire Savior, just with lots of different options for how to play. Got a whole bunch of King of Fighters here. There were a lot of SNK fighters on the Dreamcast. SNK and Capcom. I tell you, if you really love your SNK and Capcom fighters, the Dreamcast was the console for you. We've got some Street Fighter 03. We got some Third Strike there for 2,500. That's okay. 2,300 on this copy. As I record this, I think the exchange rate right now is super generous. 550 on some F1 racing. It's like $2. Yeah, the exchange rate's super nice right now. 2,100 on this Power Smash 2, aka Virtua Tennis, which I myself, not a fan of tennis, the sports. I don't think I've ever like voluntarily watched it in my life. But some video game tennis can be fun. I do especially like those Mario tennis games. That's typically the only way to get me to enjoy a sport. Just put Mario characters in it. Code Veronica on the Dreamcast. This, a game that I like a lot, but also for me a game that signifies kind of a shift for the Resident Evil series, where they were crossing over from the PS1 era into next-gen consoles at the time. We ultimately ended up with Resident Evil 4, which, despite the fact that everybody loved it at the time, I didn't like it. I did not like Resident Evil 4, and still don't. So I feel like Code Veronica is kind of like the bridge there, like the last gasp of those classic Biohazard games I really enjoy. 400 for this copy. What the hell? That's like $2. You got $2, you got Code Veronica. We've got some Gekka no Kenshi here, aka The Last Blade. And I remember back in the day going to a Funko Land, having like no knowledge of The Last Blade at all, just seeing it for cheap. Like I had enough money left over that I could pick up Last Blade 2 for like, I think $15 or something. But I'd never heard of Last Blade. But when I finally, I picked it up, brought it home and played it, I was like, oh, it's kind of like Samurai Showdown. This game is awesome. Because I did like my King of Fighters and Fatal Fury and Samurai Showdown. It's just Last Blade, one of those unsung heroes of the SNK game library. What else we got here? Oh, Power Stone 2, 5,700. And just talk about like the game of games back in the day with the Dreamcast. Like if you had at least a few friends over and a copy of Power Stone 4, you were not going to be bored for a good long while. This game's so fun. It's like the fighting game, party game mashup that would eventually become pretty popular stuff. But yeah, Power Stone 2. Couldn't get enough of that back in the day. That was a regular rental for me, actually. Yeah, just put that anywhere, Jim. 700 on this copy of Mach-In X. This game was like a one-time rental for me back in the day, because I didn't really get it. It's kind of an odd game. First-person, sword slashing, hacking, and whatever else. And I don't know. I just didn't get it. I wasn't prepared. It was one of those games I played on a whim, and like it's pretty cool, it's Atlas, so like I like the art direction and I can appreciate it more now. It's just kind of like a weird kind of like standout game, but at the time when I was like 12 or 13, it wasn't really my cup of tea. Langrisser 4 for 1,000 yen. One of them good old RPGs. I've never played a Langrisser game, so down in the comments, if you like some Langrisser, tell me what it's all about. 5,000 for this, whatever the hell this is. Yeah, Dreamcast sure did have a lot of dating sims and visual novel type stuff. Room Mania, number 203, 900 yen. This is a weird one. I've played it, couldn't really get into it, but I mean, from what I gather when I'm playing the game, you're just trying to I don't know, like you throw little balls around the apartment and you're just trying to get the characters to move around and like interact with things and I guess kind of like progress the story in the way you want it So essentially, you're just trying to annoy the shit out of them until they go and, hey, I'll go read this pamphlet, or I'll go pick up the phone, or I'll go talk to this person. So a very odd game, not one I enjoyed all that much. So yeah, Room Mania. But yeah, in the later days of the Dreamcast, when they weren't really going to be making any more hardware, I think, that's when they were, like, companies just started just dumping all these dating sims and things onto the Dreamcast. And we got what we got, but we're here, we're in Retro Game Camp, some NBA 2K for you, which I never really cared for those. If it was an NBA Jam, I couldn't be bothered. 4180 for the original Giga Wing, which I like quite a lot. Giga Wing is awesome, just great, solid, bullet hell shooter. It gets pretty tough, and it does have multiple difficulty settings, a bunch of characters to choose from. You got the reflector force ability to bail you out of some sticky situations. So overall, just a really great, fun shooter. Published by Capcom, and I prefer it over the second one, for sure. Second one's still fun. It gets nuts with the bullet and the reflector force and everything else. Guilty Gear X for 1380. This game was like holy hell when first playing it, because me and my friends, I had picked up the original Guilty Gear for $10 out of a bargain bin at a Walmart as a kid, and then me and my friends got super into Guilty Gear. So when we finally got to play Guilty Gear X and we saw those graphics, we were just like, oh my god, this is amazing. It literally was like a playable anime. The character designs and just the graphics, the environments, everything was so great. The music was obviously epic. Can't get enough of that Guilty Gear X. Here, what do we have? Climax Landers, and it's factory sealed. It's 1980. So I've never played this game, but hey, I did have, in my little archives, I had the commercial for it. So hey, here you go. Here's this game that I've never played and don't know anything about. So if you have played Climax Landers, because it's a very affordable game, even factory sealed, it's like 14 bucks. So they're practically giving those away. So let me know if you've played it. 1480 on King of Fighters Dream Match 99, which is basically just KOF 98. We got 2001, we got 2002, 2000. Again, like I said, Dreamcast got a lot of love from SNK back in the day. Shenmue. The classic, the epic that is Shenmue. I was so big on Shenmue back in the day. I got my Dreamcast for Christmas, and then I did not get Shenmue with it. So like a few days later, I traded in so many games at the Funko Land to get myself a copy of Shenmue, and then I think I also got like an action figure. And I got one other game. I don't even remember what it was at this point. I thought it was Jet Set Radio, but it wasn't. Tokyo Bus Guide with no manual. For all that hot bus driving action. You know you want it. 480 for Tokon Resident 4. Pretty decent pro wrestling game, if I do say so myself. And Tetris 4D. The fourth D is D's. Keep it PG-13, Jim. Yeah, Tetris 4D. I mean, whatevs. Tetris, but you know, who doesn't like Tetris? And also, it's cheap, super cheap. Most puzzle games you come across on consoles are going to be very cheap. Anything that says Tetris or Puyo Puyo or Columns or whatever the case may be, they're going to be really cheap. So if you want to get yourself some Tetris 4D, it's only like a couple of bucks at Retro Game Camp. Get there now. 1380 on Sonic Adventure, which itself was an experience back in the day. And 2080 for this complete copy of Third Strike, spine card and all. And again, with exchange rate, that's like 14 bucks. Something like that. So not so bad. Again, when you factor in that exchange rate, we're doing pretty good over here. The prices are not exactly killing us. I can't vouch for like eBay and stuff though. Under Defeat. That one's a little more expensive. That's like a $60, $70 game. But I must say I love this game. It is one of my favorite shoot 'em ups on the Dreamcast. A lot of fun. Kind of like isometric helicopter shooter. Developed by G-Rev, the same developer as Border Down. And Border Down is also really good, but let you in a little secret, I like Under Defeat more than Border Down. Even though Border Down is the one that's more like sought after of the two games. But that's a really great game, of course. It's available on other consoles. I think it was re-released on PS4 fairly recently. We got Project Justice. Again, one of my all-time favorites. A series I'd love to see make a comeback. Some rival schools. 1518 on complete copy of Guilty Gear X. So you can see we got spine cards. We got everything. Here we have Giga Wing at a range of prices, both with and without the spine card, and in varying condition. So you can bring that up to the counter, and you got your pick of the litter, baby. $34.98 for Street Fighter 03 Saikyo Ryu Dojo, which is really cool. I mean, you know, the Dreamcast version of any 2D fighter is going to be excellent. It's going to be essentially arcade perfect. But yeah, you're going to want the fight stick or the ASCII pad or something like that. Because the Dreamcast controller, not exactly the best in the world for 2D fighters. That ASCII pad does make it a lot better, though. But of course, like the Saturn version of 03 is like the version, but it's so damn expensive. $25.08 on Street Fighter 3 Double Impact, I believe. So you get the newcomers, the new challengers, whatever it was called, and Second Impact. Which are great. I love all the different versions of Street Fighter 3. The graphics were fantastic at the time. The gameplay is still very fun. And the soundtracks were definitely a big departure from Street Fighter 2, but had a feel all their own. You know, I like the soundtracks from Street Fighter 3. 1628 on Rent a Hero. Number 1, I believe, even though it's not the first game in the Rent a Hero series. An oddball series of games that stayed in Japan where, as the title implies, you play a hero for hire. You get a superhero suit and then you go out and you help people with stuff. You beat the shit out of bad guys. It's a lot of fun. Psychic Force 2012. Speaking of game series that I'd like to see make a comeback, I think a new Psychic Force game could be cool, but who the hell even owns it? Taito, I guess? Did somebody buy Taito? These games were super cool back in the day. They made 3 of them. 4 if you count the X Selection of Destiny, which is a reskin of Psychic Force 2, I believe. Another copy of Shenmue here, super cheap, $7.48. Copies of that game just lying everywhere. And it comes with the Shenmue jukebox disc as well. So you get the music from the various bars and what have you in the game. And $18.48 on Shenmue 2. Which I played on the Xbox back in the day. One of the reasons I wanted an Xbox to begin with, back in what it was like 2002-ish, I think I got it. Like Christmas 2002. $7.48 on Capcom versus SNK, that's nice. But all those Sega games were being released on Xbox, and so I was like, yeah, I would love to have that. I wanted to play Shenmue 2. I wanted to play Jet Set Radio Future. I wanted to play all these great games. So yeah, I did eventually get myself an Xbox just to do that. 2618 Marvel vs. Capcom. Ikaruga at varying prices as well, although now this is also available on the Switch. And let you in on a little secret, not really a fan of Ikaruga. It's not a terrible game or anything, it's just at a certain point I just get annoyed with it. Not the gimmicks. I don't really like the cave, not cave, whoever the hell, Treasure, excuse me. Not a big fan of Treasure shoot-em-ups. They just, a little too gimmicky for me. I like a nice straightforward shooter. I prefer shooters by Cave or Toa Plan. With Treasure, I prefer just like the platformers and beat-em-ups and things like that. Maybe you agree with me, maybe not. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think of games like Ikaruga and Radiant Silvergun? Are they your cup of tea when it comes to shooters, or would you rather have something a little more traditional? 1408 on Puyo Puyo 4. We also had some Last Blade there. Lots of good stuff in here. What else are we looking at? We got copies of US Shenmue. 5478. Pretty cool variant of this game. You get a bunch of different language options. It's essentially like when you take the plastic case out of the cardboard it is a North American Dreamcast case, which is pretty cool to see. Now, our final stop of the day, Trader. Always love coming in here. Trader always has some pretty good Dreamcast games. Always a nice selection of Dreamcast and Saturn games. We got some El Dorado Gate, which is a series I've still never played. We got a lot of copies of Capcom vs. SNK. That one is 780 yen. That's very affordable. And then 6980 for this copy of US Shenmue. That's more than what they were charging at Super Potato, but their copy was in better condition. We got Capcom vs. SNK Pro. So you pay a little extra and you get Dan and Joe. You know, who doesn't like that? Oh, God, we got some Mark of the Wolves. What's going on with that supposed sequel? I'd like to know. Mark of the Wolves was another one that back in the day after getting my Dreamcast, I had rented. And because I was like, it's like a Fatal Fury, okay. So I wanted to try it out because I had always liked Fatal Fury Special and wanted to see what they could do with like an updated Fatal Fury game. And I wasn't disappointed. Mark of the Wolves, still really fun. We got a nice cover variant here, 2780 on that. So that's nice. Some Rock Howard, some Terry Bogard for you. We got some Gundam, we got some whatever the hell. Get Bass, 580 yen. That's not a suggestion, it's a command. You will get Bass. 1580, King of Fighters, Dream Match, 99. And we also have 99 Evolution, 1180, so like $7. And you got yourself a copy of KOF 99, 2680 on 2000. Okay, for me, it's like my favorites, 98, 2002, KOF 11, 2001, okay, very nice, 2002. I haven't really gotten into the most recent King of Fighters games, though, but they look pretty good. We got some JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Definitely an oddball in the annals of Capcom fighting game history. But a fun one nonetheless, and the Dreamcast version and the PS1 version are both excellent. They have these cool additional gameplay modes, story modes and stuff. I think the PS1 version even has some additional story mode stuff the Dreamcast version doesn't. So that is pretty damn cool. Another copy of Saikyo Ryu Dojo for 2080. I think the more expensive one is the one for matching service, 2380. On this copy of Third Strike. So everywhere you go, any store you go to in Akihabara, they got a copy of Third Strike. So you can compare and contrast those prices. 2080 for Net Gimmick Tyson. This is a very unusual game in the line of versus games. So this is basically Capcom versus Saikyo, but you're playing Mahjong. So there you go. I don't even know how to play Mahjong, but in case you didn't know, there is a Mahjong game on the Dreamcast where it's Capcom characters versus Saikyo characters like Gunbird and Sengoku Blade and stuff. 380 on Code Veronica. Why don't they just pay you to take it, if that's the case? 1580 on the original Power Stone. Great game, but kind of obsolete after Power Stone 2 came out. 2480 on Marvel vs. Capcom. That's okay. That's under $20. And 5880 on another copy of Moero Justice Gakuen, aka Project Justice, a game I love unconditionally, like it was my own child. Yeah, Rival Schools. I know that the characters, they do guest spots in other games sometimes, but it would be really nice to see just a proper, dedicated Rival Schools sequel one of these days. I think I'm not going to hold my breath on that one, though. A ton of Sakura Wars games, including Sakura Wars Columns 2, 2280, which, rejoice, ladies and gents, because this now has an English translation. So it can be enjoyed by all, because it's not just columns, it's Sakura Wars, so there's a bit of the kind of the visual novel dating sim element going on there too. But still, just a great game, a lot of fun. I love to play columns, and just the nice addition of the colorful cast of characters really kicks it up a notch. But that's going to do it, everyone, for all these epic Dreamcast games. Hope you had fun watching. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Yeah, Mad Panic Gaming!
Awesome!
Hello everybody, Jim here. Welcome back to Mad Panic Gaming. Today we got another game hunt for you. I was in the neighborhood of Tachikawa here in Tokyo. If that sounds familiar to you, it's because I go there typically at least once a year. I go there actually to update my immigration status stuff. But while I'm there, I hit a few different places to pick up some games. So that's what I did today. I went to a few different places there, did some game hunting. So I'm going to break this up into a few different videos because I hit actually 3 different places. So today we're going to take a look at the Book Off Super Bazaar they have there, which is excellent. One of the better book offs I've ever been to when it comes to retro games. They had 16-bit, 8-bit, 32-bit, even some modern stuff. It's still a book off. So you can go there and pick up Switch games, PS4, PS5, and then a whole bunch of other stuff, manga and books, actual books at the book off. Imagine that. So we're gonna take a look at what games they had, what kind of prices we were dealing with. Then come back at the end of the video. We're actually gonna take a look at what my best finds of the day are. So come back for that. Also, we're sitting now at about 38,000 subscribers, so thank you very much for that, everybody. If it's your first time on the channel, if you like what you see, do me a solid, hit the subscribe button. We're hoping to hit like 40K maybe by the end of the year. I think that's kind of like a reasonable goal to shoot for. And if you really like the video, drop a like as well. I'd greatly appreciate it. But enough of all that nonsense. Let's get to the game hunting proper. All right. Look at this lovely overcast day here in Tachikawa, Tokyo. Actually, it got quite a lot sunnier later in the day and quite a lot hotter. I actually found myself later on wishing it was still as overcast as this. Anyway, hey, here we go. Coming up to the Book Off Super Bazaar. Who really cares what the weather is like when you're game hunting in a building with no windows and no natural light, huh? Alright, so let's get started. We got the nice big case here with all kinds of great stuff in it. I hadn't been here, like I said, in a year, so I was looking forward to what they have. First up, a handsome guy there. Oh my goodness. I wonder if he likes video games too. I should give him a call. We got lots of stuff here, lots of box games. We got Zelda, Metal Storm, all good. The original Mother, which is still getting up there. Goemon, nice stuff. A few Famicom disc games, which, I haven't really seen a ton of interest in those lately. We've got some Captain Tsubasa, Bomberman 2, Turtles. Actually, Manhattan Project, my favorite of the 8-bit Turtles. But you can't go wrong with some DuckTales, which, what is that, 10% off, 20% off? That's something I should mention, is that some of this stuff, if there is actually like any damage to it, as you can see, like Rockman 5, Twinbee, Pac-Land, all kinds of cool stuff in there. Really nice looking games, but obviously some of them they're gonna have damage to their box, they're gonna have damage to the manual, whatever. So the labels, in addition to just telling you what's wrong with them, you do get some discounts in here, which is nice. I like seeing that. We got some copies of Bonk 2, we got Magic Knight Rayearth, we got Goemon games out the wazoo, Gradius 3, very nice, Gegege no Kitaro, can't go wrong with any of that. Good old Mortal Kombat. But you don't see the Mortal Kombat Super Famicom games all that often. It's obviously not going to be nearly as common as something like Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat 2, 7,700 yen. So they're not cheap. They're like 50 bucks a pop. But that's boxed, though, and they're in pretty good shape. We got some DBZ Super Butoden, some Choma Kaimura Hyperdimension, multiple copies of Hyperdimension, as a matter of fact. Aladdin, complete for $74.80, which is not cheap. Hyperdimension 13.2, my goodness. And then look at this. There's just a bunch of, somebody dropped off their entire like horde of Sailor Moon games. $38.50 on Sailor Moon R. We've got Sailor Moon S. We got some of the puzzle games. We got the beat 'em ups. We got the fighting game. Yeah, in case you didn't know, there's, what are there, like 7 or 8 different Sailor Moon games on there. And here we go, Cat's Run, 17,000. But you know, it's a pretty cool game if you've never played it. It's and like a Mode 7 racer, but with like little economy cars, K cars, I guess they call them. So that's Cat's Run. You got Chrono Trigger, Battletoads back there, which is pretty uncommon. And then this, I was excited to find. They had 2 copies of Umihara Kawase, which is an awesome game, very fun little platformer, almost like a puzzle platformer, I guess you could say. And I like it a lot. And usually when I see it, it's kind of a rarity to see it these days, but when I do, it's usually listed more expensive than what they had it for here. And they had 2 copies, loose and boxed, but I could see that the boxed copy was 10% off for some mild damage to the manual, so I was thinking about that. Here we got Final Fantasy IV Easy Type, which, okay, color me interested. What the hell is Final Fantasy IV Easy Type? And then Violinist of Hamon, or the Hamon no Violin Hiki. I featured this game on the channel before. Very fun, Japan exclusive, platformer kind of game. It's a little quirky. It's unique, I'll say that much. And it has an English fan translation now. So that's awesome. Darius Force, a few other expensive items in there. And then we've got some more stuff here, including the Salamander Deluxe Pack, some box Game Boy. That's always nice. Even though I myself kind of ignorant on the Game Boy library, but Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, can't argue with that. Early vehicle for George Clooney there. In case you didn't know, Attack of them Killer Tomatoes. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Some Dragon Quest, a little Dragon Quest shrine, if you will, and a little Mario section too, which is nice. You know, actually, I'd like to see that more at game shops like this. We got a Pokemon spot there. That's good. Lots of Pokemon stuff. Divvy up by actual like the property. So make a Mario section, make a Mega Man section. Why not? There's that handsome guy again. Oh my God. What's he doing here? Get out of my video, dude. I'm trying to look at video games. A few Neo Geo games, which again, like AES, less and less common these days. 132X Doom for you. Crows on the Sega Saturn, which is an expensive game, but spoilers, it sucks. Don't waste your money. I don't know why it's like $300. We've got, wow, for 45,000 yen. That's 300 and some odd bucks for a Duo R. Getting up there. But that's pretty cool right there. That's actually a PlayStation controller modeled after the Sega Saturn controller. That'll really come in handy for those PS1 fighters, let me tell you. Because the Saturn, that was the controller for fighting games. Like, it's just epic. We got some Xbox 360 stuff here, including Arkham City for 900 yen. That ain't bad. I know these were just like re-released, but Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, LA Noire, Alan Wake. That's all just like stuff from that era I'm really fond of. $270 for Grand Theft Auto 3. So that's like $2. You can get yourself a GTA 3. So even in Japan, you know, copies of GTA 3 were just flying off the shelves back in the day. And also $270 for San Andreas, which San Andreas, the memories I had with that game, making a lowrider and then going like kill gangsters on my turf and whatnot. $480 for Dead or Alive Extreme 2, and I gotta say, as a teenage boy, I was a fan of the DOA Extreme Beach Volleyball games. I'm not sure why exactly. Kind of hard to put my finger on it. I think it was the volleyball. It's just you don't get a good volleyball game like that every day, and it's just like I'm a huge fan of beach volleyball. Anyway, moving on. We got some Wii stuff here, which I was never a huge Wii fan. I actually bought one just to play Skyward Sword, and then after that, I couldn't really be bothered. And not a lot of people ask me to find Wii stuff for them anyway, so that's usually one I kind of gloss over. We got some bass fishing. Finally. Can't wait to get me some bass fishing when I get home. Gundam the Battlemaster 2 for $270. And that's a hell of a deal. Because if you've never played or heard of it, Battlemaster, kind of like the other, they're not Gundam, what is it, Battle Assault? It's like a different series from those. They're a little more, like, I don't know, true to the series, like the way the mechs control. But they're pretty cool. And for 270 yen, like $2, that's like a deal of deals. So I've got that poking out. I'm going to come back for that. That's kind of like as I film these, I make mental notes. Making sure like I know what I want to leave with. 900 yen on this Chocobo collection. Which isn't bad on that. Usually it's about like, I don't know, 1,500. It's got a few different Chocobo games in it, so that's fun. A lot of this stuff, it's kind of, I don't know, this is all very geared toward the collectors because emulating PS1 is so easy these days. $54.37 for the Fireman 2, which if you never played the Fireman 1, it was a fun game on the Super Famicom, and I think it got an SNES release, but it's fun. You got a couple little firemen, and you put out fires, of course. What did you think you were going to do? A game where you play some firemen, you were going to do what exactly? Play some beach volleyball? No. You're going to put out fires with your two little fireman guys there. They're adorable little firemen. Not like those real firemen who are all like big and scary. No, I say that. I don't know. I was going to say I've never met a fireman, but I actually met a bunch of firemen. They were nice enough. They're not like that fireman from Ren and Stimpy, that's for sure. That guy. You really don't want to get on the wrong side of that guy. We got, what is this? One of the Namco collections? That's cool. Pac-Man, Rally X. It's volume 1, so I'm guessing they had like, I don't know, like 6 of those or something. Namco has a rich history with arcade games, obviously. 10% off at $270, so it's already like dirt cheap. The Rurouni Kenshin RPG, which is pretty cool. And then there's also the Kenshin fighting game, the 3D Fighter, as well. So there are 2 games based on Rurouni Kenshin on the PS1. The RPG is, I guess, fine. I hadn't really played it very much, but the 3D Fighter, unfortunately, sucks. Rurouni Kenshin deserved better. But we get what we get. PS3 games, I'm just going to look at the fighters they got here. Including Aquapaza, pretty cool. Ultra Street Fighter 4, which is not bad. 1500 on King of Fighters 13. I can't remember if it's 12 or 13. Buddy of mine, and we got this one too. Wow, what a game indeed. 2000. Yeah, a friend of mine did the voice of Benimaru and Clark Steele for one of the KOF games. I can't remember which. We got some Guilty Gear. Cross-Erd, however you want to say it, Revelation. They really did get out of control with those Guilty Gear titles. Some Street Fighter Cross Tekken, like the Forgotten versus game like that, and Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Those are like the 2 like Forgotten Capcom versus games. Like nobody gives a damn about those apparently. And then Injustice, which I recall playing before. What was that other one though? No, I'm thinking about the one with the Marvel, like it was like Marvel something, Rise of the Imperfects. I don't know. For some reason that came to mind. Like when I saw Injustice, that's what I thought of. Fighting Climax, and then there was like J-Stars. A lot of fighting games on the PS3. Most of them pretty inexpensive. Some Dragon Ball Z here. Again, they're like $270, $900 for the second one. Although we're about to get. Persona 4 Arena. That's cool. For 270 yen, can't go wrong. And 100 yen on this Naruto game. I'm not too familiar with those, but 100 yen, that's like 70 cents American. They're practically just giving it to you. Yeah, the new DBZ, Sparking Zero, I think it is right around the corner, which is pretty cool. I was a big fan of the Budokai Tenkaichi games back in the day. We got some action games here. We got the Onimusha games, which are all very inexpensive, all 270 yen. So they'll run you about $2 a piece. Same on Crash. We got Crash 4. Crash. Although after like the PS1 era, I didn't really care about Crash Bandicoot so much anymore. I was growing up getting into the Hitman and the stuff like that. The more, and GTA, of course. Once GTA hit the scene, or GTA 3 anyway, I didn't really have a lot of time for Crash Bandicoot anymore, or Spyro. Even though, like, now as an adult, like, looking back, I love Spyro. I've been replaying the original Spyro again. Ryuga Gotoku, the Yakuza games, again, those are, like, sold like hotcakes. So they're $2 a piece if you find them. So if you are someone who is looking at collecting Japanese games, maybe look in the direction of the PS2. As you can see here, it's like, I mean, there's some games on the PS2 that'll run you a few bucks, but honestly, most of this stuff is literally a few bucks. It's it's very inexpensive. What are you doing, Jim? I think I'm just like browsing. This is great, by the way, isn't it? When the guy just stands there with the camera pointed in like, hey, look at this, a bunch of games. I don't know what I'm doing. What are we doing? Look at the other side of the aisle. There's a ton of stuff here. So what do we got? We got retro games out the wazoo, and we got what we're starting off with. In case you didn't know, that sign says retro game. That's how you know the retro games are there. They had 2 PC Engine games. Both of them were like tile games, like Mahjong, so I didn't give a damn. Puyo Puyo 2 on the Saturn. They had a few Saturn and Dreamcast games and stuff. I feel like that's the things, like, if someone's going to go somewhere like Game Collectors and stuff, what is it? It's like Sega and PC Engine. That's where the hardcore fans always are. We got a few Dreamcast games here, including this little box set, special edition thing of Sakura Wars 2, which, fair enough. I mean, I've played 1 or 2 of the Sakura Wars games. I'm not a big fan, but I do like their puzzle game variants. We've got some Capcom versus SNK 2. It's complete. It's $32.28. So that's a little more, I guess. I don't know what the price on that typically is now. That used to be one of the like cheaper Dreamcast. Well, I guess it still is, like, considering DOA 2 still $10.46, which puts it at like $7 thereabouts. Yeah, Capcom versus SNK. Those are ones that kind of flew off the shelves back in the day. $52.28 on the ever so awesome JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on the Dreamcast. Which there is a variant, the matching service variant, which is much more expensive. And for $10.46, like $7, Psychic Force 2012. Which I've said this before. I've probably said it like many times, but I am a big fan of the Psychic Force series. That's one series I'd love to see make a comeback. At the time, like late 90s, like, wow, a 3D fighting game where you can like fly and throw fireballs at each other. That's cool. King of Fighters 99 Evolution, which is essentially just a special edition of 99, but then we got this bad boy for $15.91, about $10. King of Fighters Dream Match 99, which is essentially a Dreamcast port of KOF 98, which is among my favorites in the series. I know it's a favorite for a lot of people. They had a ton of loose carts, so I'm not going to let this video drag out to be like 5 hours long, so we're going to kind of stick to the box stuff. But we'll have a look at those loose carts, at least a little bit, on the surface anyway. We got some Doraemon for $1100, which when I started teaching especially, I came to realize Doraemon is like an institution. He's like the Snoopy of Japan. It's everywhere. Although Snoopy is also the Snoopy of Japan, because there's not a day goes by I don't see something Peanuts related. $22.28 for some Dr. Mario. And I threw this in here. I love this commercial because the eyes of the little creatures are the boobs of these ladies. And I mean, that's just good costume design. And then Dr. Mario comes and kills them with his pills. So, I mean, really, the advertising in Japan was like on point back in the day. Really don't know what the hell was going on there. I don't know. So I find this stuff and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. This video is getting boring. I'm going to throw some crazy shit in there. Because I feel like that's what people come for, the crazy shit. We got Yoshi no Tamago, which is Yoshi's egg. Also, I think just called Yoshi in North America anyway. Very fun puzzle game. So this and Dr. Mario and Yoshi's Cookie and Tetris and whatever else. One thing you can say for the NES and the Famicom, the puzzle games, they were alright. Famicom, you done good. You done good, boy. That'll do, Famicom. That'll do. What the hell else we got here? I'm rambling. You know, I should really, like, I'm commentating over this. I should really be paying attention. We got Dragon Ball, Captain's Fox. We've got all that typical stuff. All the stuff you expect to see there. They got it. Yu Yu Hakusho 2. Decent 2D fighter. 1,500 yen. Pretty good game by Namco. Of course, I've talked about it before. I've talked about all of these before. That's what are you doing, Jim? Yeah, this is a pretty decent 2D fighter. It's one of the more common games, especially to find it boxed. I feel like just, I don't know, maybe people are endeared to Yu Yu Hakusho. They're like, we don't want to damage that box, because I find it boxed quite a lot. We got the original Yu Yu Hakusho, which I recently featured in an episode of 16-Bit Anime. Plug, hint, hint. Go watch that after this video concludes, though. Don't you dare click away. I will never forgive you. We got some more good box stuff here, including 2,300 for Sailor Moon, Kondowa, Puzzle, Nantoka, something or other. I can't really remember. It's really cool. It's kind of similar. Well, not really similar to Tetris Attack. It's just, you know, click on the color combinations to clear them from the screen. So what it makes it more like, maybe more like Candy Crush. Before there was a Candy Crush, there was this Sailor Moon-esque puzzle game. Because again, like I said, there's like a ton of them, and there's 2 copies here. One was priced, what, 2,300. This one's also 2,300 at 10% off, because they both had some box damage, which always puts me like kind of in a tough spot. Like if there's like some manual damage or something, it's like, okay, I can kind of work with that. But when the box is busted, kind of hard to tolerate that. 1,500 on Yoshi's Island. Which is odd because usually, well, I don't know, this is like one of the less expensive. I always have to keep it in my mind. I'm like, 1,500? That's like $10 for a box. Like, what does a box Yoshi's Island even go for in the US, for example? What is that, like $5,000? So I really have to keep things in perspective here. We got like a shit ton of copies of Super Mario World. Okay, all boxed. Super Mario Collection, aka All Stars, and then 900 yen was originally 8,500 for one of the most fun video games ever devised by man, Super Mario Kart. Even though I can recall playing Super Mario Kart with my older sister and it getting pretty heated. I think some threats were made. Weapons were drawn, not used, but like the threat was there. So, yeah, Super Mario Kart, very fun, obviously. But be careful. Especially if you're playing with your older sister. Or if she's trying to play solo and you keep interrupting her game. She might threaten to, you know, hurt or even, like kill you. So, take it easy. 720, 10% off on Super Donkey Kong. Still, I mean, one of my favorites. Like, I did a top 10... hello, Tenchi Moyo. I did a top 10 Super Nintendo games video not long ago. And as I was making it, I was like, wow, this feels really predictable. Because it's going to be Super Donkey Kong and Mario Kart and stuff like that. 30% off, 2,000 yen for the DBZ, I think Super Saiyajin Densetsu or something like that. One of the DBZ RPGs. And then we got Battle Dodgeball, which is a fun game. It's dodgeball with Gundams and Ultraman and all that stuff. So you can't go wrong with that. That whole like SD series is pretty cool. More loose carts. All right. Okay, Jim. You don't have to do anything. Why do anything? No, as you can see, there are a ton of loose carts. Like they had, I mean, what, maybe like 1,000 to a couple of thousand loose carts. So that's the kind of thing where, as a YouTuber, I gotta think to myself, like, yeah, I'm gonna dig through these, I'm gonna buy some games, but does anyone want to watch this for over an hour? 2,300 on Super Bomberman 3 with 10% off. A lot of these are marked 10% off. But that's the thing, is like games as old as this, they're not always going to be in perfect shape. Like there's going to be damage to something. So yeah, we get 10% off, 20% off. These are the kinds of deals you got to snap up. Because we have a shop here, just being honest. Yes, Jim, that's a copy of Super Bomberman 4. It's very nice. Could you hurry it up, please? Wrap this up. I got a hot date waiting. No, I don't. But I do have some coffee on, and I would like to drink it. So if we could just like wrap this up, Jim. Final Fight 900 for a loose cart. Classic game, of course. And then Sailor Moon R, loose carts, the second beat 'em up, I believe. The one that I think has like the mini moon thing or whatever. Or am I mistaken? I don't know. You tell me. We got some more box stuff here, including this one, pretty cool. Also featured in a recent episode of 16-bit anime. Hint, hint. Crayon Shinchan, which is a fun little game. It's fairly easy. You go around just like collecting cards. So you collect cards, you jump on the heads of like Shinchan's friends. Because even if they're not, they hurt you. I don't know. They couldn't come up with enemies for this game. So it's just like, it's just the other kids, I guess. They kind of hurt you if you collide with them. I suppose that would happen in real life if you went around colliding with your friends. And then the rest of it is a bunch of mini games. So cool. Shinchan, another one, kind of like the Snoopy of Japan. Shinchan just everywhere. 1800 for Garron Densetsu, the Battle of Destiny. Great game, great series of games, and then of course, who could forget this? The ultimate badass. I don't really know what that is. And then they had a handful of consoles here, not much to speak of. We got this Saturn here, 9,091 yen. Yeah, obviously gotta pass on that. We got a white Saturn. That's not really a white Saturn. It's like a mixed race Saturn. I don't know. He's got what? Forget I said that. And some other random stuff. And then this I thought was cool. Let's play. We got 50% off on all these loose carts, and it's a lot of common stuff. It's Mario Golf and like Hey You Pikachu, Kirby there. Although that one's not marked 50% off. So what the hell? But everything in here is super cheap, and then it gets even cheaper when you mark it down. So that's what they had. Anyway, that's a quick look around. I put the camera down and I picked myself up some games. So let's go back to the couch and see what I got. Here we go. Okay, so there you go, everybody. That was the Book Off Super Bazaar there in Tachikawa. Pretty cool. I told you they had quite a lot of games. A lot of good games too, and then some really good prices on like certain things. Some things were like, you know, right where you'd expect them to be. Other things were like super inexpensive. And then they had a whole bin full of just like N64 carts and Super Famicom 50% off, which is pretty cool. They're really trying to get rid of that stuff. But we're going to take a look at what my best finds of the day were today. I got 4 games here I picked out. I think these were the absolute best. I picked up about 15 games just from that book off. First up, though, off the top of the stack, a copy of Gundam the Battle Master 2. Mainly, this is one of my finds of the day just because of how, like, incredibly cheap it was. This was 270 yen, which is like $2 for this, and it's a pretty decent game. It's not the same as Battle Assault. So there's the Gundam Battle Assault games, which I think those were ported to the US, like maybe in the early 2000s. Then there are the Battle Master games, which I think are just made by Bandai. These are also 2D fighters based on Gundam. You get a lot of different Gundams to play with, so that's pretty cool. But it's like the Gundams, the way they move is a little more accurate to how you would like expect a Gundam to move. They don't move all quick and spry like they do in the Battle Assault games, or at least what I remember of Battle Assault. So this one is a bit more, I want to say realistic, because how can you realistically make a Gundam game? But the Gundams function and move more in line with how you would expect a giant mech to move in a 2D fighter. But it's still pretty solid games, pretty fun. I enjoy these. At the very least, they have really nice graphics, lots of different Gundams and stuff. If you're a Gundam fan, this is the kind of game you would probably like to have in a game collection. And again, at 270 yen, like $2, they practically gave it to me. They almost paid me to take it, if you can believe that. Next up, Dreamcast awesomeness here. Got a copy. I love this game, by the way. Psychic Force 2012. And I love this entire series. I think there's only 3 games in this series. This is one I'd love to see come back. Made by Taito. This is the free-flying 3D fighters. All the characters have cool like elemental powers. So you've got a lightning guy, there's fire, one guy controls time, another is like light and sound. So each of the characters are cool. They have their own gimmick. They have cool, unique designs and unique powers. And then it's a 3D fighter where you fly around. You're trapped in like a big cube, which makes sense. You can't make these huge infinite arenas to fight in, I guess. So you fight in this big giant cube and you try to blast each other with fireballs and all kinds of other stuff. So it's a lot of fun. These games are, or this game in particular has some pretty decent visuals, I would say. But the soundtracks for the Psychic Force games are always a highlight. I believe all of them are made by Zentada, and they just like crushed it every time. This one, the only thing disappointing about this though, it doesn't have like a cool anime intro like the first 2 games do. But other than that, everything about this game is awesome. So I like it a lot. Psychic Force 2012, and this was I think 1,000 yen or 1,070. So pick this up today for like $7 US with exchange rate. So that's a really good deal on that. Speaking of Dreamcast, got a copy of the King of Fighters Dream Match 99. And if you're not familiar with it, this is essentially King of Fighters 98 on your Dreamcast. And so who can argue with that? So if you like King of Fighters 98, that's pretty much what this is. Except it has, I guess, compatibility with the King of Fighters R2 on the Neo Geo Pocket Color. I don't know how that works. I've never connected my Neo Geo Pocket Color to my Dreamcast, but that's pretty cool. But this is a great game. Maybe like 98, 2002, the Dream Match games are really fun. I also like, KOF 11 is great. And the more modern KOFs have been pretty good thus far. But yeah, huge roster of characters, really solid gameplay, a variety of gameplay modes, and then I think it had some kind of online support. Not 100% sure, but anyway, yeah, King of Fighters, Dream Match 99, fantastic game, you can't argue with that. And this, I want to say, conversion rate, this was like $10 to pick this up, so that's like a hell of a deal. $10 on this, I'll take that every day, because I don't even want to think about what the US versions cost these days. All right, last but not least, certainly not least, great game. This was a kind of a heavy hitter though. Picked up a copy of Umihara Kawase on the Super Famicom. This game is awesome, fun little platformer where you play as the title character, Umihara Kawase. She has her fishing line, and so you attach it to surfaces to like swing around and pull yourself up, and you catch fish. And you put them in your backpack, and then you find your way to the end of the stage. Each stage is like a fun little platforming maze to navigate your way through. So this game is a lot of fun. You could call it charming, I guess, if you wanted to. But some, nice enough visuals, nice soundtrack, leisurely. Like the soundtrack is really groovy. This is, I've heard people say that some games are comfy. I guess you could say this is kind of like a comfy game. But it is a lot of fun. It is a more uncommon Super Famicom game these days, especially to find it boxed. So I was very happy with that, but this is a great game. There's like sequels on the PS1. There's a sequel on the Switch right now, and probably on the PS4 called Umihara Kawase Fresh. which is really good. But I was just like super happy to find this today. They had a loose cart, which was like a little ratty, and then they had this one as well. This was, I believe it was marked at like 15,000 yen with 10% off because it said that there was damage to the manual. So I actually looked in here. The cartridge is in like perfect condition. It's immaculate. The manual, the cover of the manual has some damage to it, but actually the interior of the manual is like, you know, really good shape. And then the box is in really nice shape too. Nice and whitey whites, not too beat up. So with conversion rate, this was about $100, which is not cheap, mind you, for a game. Usually I try not to go up to like that level, like pay that much, but when someone's paying me and saying, hey, send me the good stuff, send me the premium games, I was willing to go ahead and take the hit on this, because I mean, when you see a game like this that, I mean, I spent $100 on it. I don't know, you look online, this is probably close to like 200, 250, if not more. You know, if you go on eBay, you look on there, a lot of people on there sell for like 100% profit, 200% profit or something. Pretty outrageous stuff. So when you see something like this where it's marked at a kind of a reasonable price and then it's down, you know, 10% over some like minor damage, you gotta go for it, man. So that's what I did today. I picked up Umihara Kawase on the Super Famicom. Great, great game. And that's my finds of the day today. My the games that I picked up that I think were the best bang for my buck. So down in the comments, you can let me know what you think of any of the games you saw in this video today. What would you have picked up? And have you made any great pickups recently? I'd love to know. Always happy to hear from you. And with that, I think that's enough. Getting a little hoarse here, throat getting dry. Went, did all the game hunting stuff, came back, unloaded everything. You know, old Jim's a little bit tired, getting too old for this shit. Anyway, yeah, comments down below, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And come back next Saturday. We're going to have another game hunt for you. And until then, everybody take care, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.